the Divine Play podcast, a practical guide to living with joy. I'm here with my beautiful and wonderful co-host, as always, the beautiful
Shannon Morrison.
And we are here with part 2 of this conversation about slowing your roll as a pathway to joy. So we're super excited that you came back for episode 2, and here we go. Is I take a moment, I breathe, and I look at them and I say, thank you for taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for taking care of yourself by saying that you can't come. I'm really grateful that you're going to keep this time for yourself. Don't feel any pressure. And what this does is it gives them permission to say no and do what's best for them. And this practice of giving other people permission has helped me to give permission to myself. So it becomes
For sure.
a kind of infinite feedback loop of giving everyone permission to take care of themselves, even me. And so that's been really practical for me. And to touch back and circle back around to your practical tool of giving yourself the space before and after taking care of yourself, that's really big too. One of the things that I see most often with breathwork events and also when people come in for energy healing and shamanic healing,
Mm-hmm.
what you got to remember is these sessions are usually very intense. And I'm sure Jen is the same way.
Absolutely.
What happens in those sessions can be, you can be very emotionally raw after that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find the most often that my clients come up against, and sometimes even myself, I will catch myself doing this now, although I've learned over the past 20 years to stop doing this, is that they will have to pop up off their mat or they pop right off the table and they're rushing out to another appointment, to a family event, or to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've explained to people and I encourage and invite them to like give themselves the space to fully process. Like after you do some self-care, maybe try not to go back to your stressful job. Like don't squeeze it in on your lunch break. Literally, if it's within your power, because I know some people don't have this luxury, take the day off to go in for a 3-hour shamanic healing session or therapy session that you know is going to be really intense.
And you don't even know. Honestly, I feel like you won't even know. If you're having a therapy session or an energy session or a massage, you literally don't know what's going to come up for you.
Yeah.
So like I totally agree with that because the first again, round 1 of this massage that was several months ago, I went back to work because I had to. And she just looked at me. She's like, "You got to do what?" She's like, "Are you sure you can't go home?" And I couldn't that day. And so I did move it to a day off, which is my biggest day. And so that was the wrong thing too. So like maybe a practice of like how can we put the space in there? Where is it best to fit? And I totally agree with you because you get to literally process it. So there's no way of processing anything that you're going to, whether it's therapy, whether it's um, forest bathing. You can't process what comes up for you, meditation, if you're just going back to going to the interstate, right? It's just like your hustle and bustle. If you do it right away, is gonna not allow your body and your brain, your central nervous system is not gonna process.
And I think there's like a flip side to this coin too. Like if we're talking practical and pragmatic tools, I think there is an element for me where I've really designed my life where I can create this kind of space. And I also want to recognize and honor that there are a lot of people out there who don't have the same flexibility that I do. And so practically, how would you do this? And how would you create that space of being able to give yourself the time to integrate if you didn't have that flexibility? Like if the only way that you could get a massage or go in for an energy healing session or a therapy session was to do it on your lunch break and then you had to go back and work in an office, how would you give yourself this space? Because if the option is not to get the work at all, or to do it in the middle of your workday or before you pick your kids up from school, how do we practically create that space when we don't have the flexibility?
What comes up for me right away is that no matter if it's 5 or 10 minutes or an hour, And again, it depends on where you are and the season that it is, but I've put my feet where my sunshine is. So where I feel the most calm,
Mm.
where I feel the most joy, whether that's my feet are in the water in the beach. I just watched somebody do that today. And or I'm just listening to the trees rustle in the wind because it sounds like the ocean and I'm from the ocean. If you sit in the sun for 10 minutes, your body's creating vitamin D and you're just soaking up energy. And so I feel like if you can even just hold space and just recalibrate for 10 minutes in wherever brings you joy the most, calm, joy, energy, and then move to where you need to
Mm.
go.
I think that's a really good suggestion. I think for me, putting my feet in the dirt, if at all possible, is really helpful. That grounding.
Mhm,
And here's the beautiful thing, if you don't have the ability to put your feet in the actual dirt or you don't have access to grass, you can actually stand on like a concrete sidewalk, or you can, even stand on like a concrete patio with your feet on the ground, and that, as long as there's nothing in between it and the dirt, right? Like if that concrete is like directly on the dirt, that also counts. If you have the ability to put your bare feet on the earth, that can be really grounding, even for just a couple minutes. I
mhm,
know when I'm doing energy healing with people and they have a really intense session and their system isn't quite calmed down, right outside my office door are cobblestones. And
mhm,
I will take them out onto those flagstones and I will just have them stand with their bare feet, even in socks, if they don't want their bare feet on the ground, just for like a minute or two. And it will
mhm,
totally, because what we do very often is we look at their eyeballs, right? We look at their
mhm,
pupils. And a lot of times, if their pupils are kind of shaking in their head, it's a sign for us that they're not fully grounded. We don't want to send them back out into the world yet, back into their car, back into traffic. And so I will have somebody stand with their feet directly on those flagstones and their eyes will literally come to a place of stillness. And so
mhm.
it can calm your nervous system to do that grounding. And there's starting to be some like really legitimate like emerging science around the process of grounding. I think another really great thing, for joy, especially if you do have to get in your car and you have to go back to work and you're not going to have time to sit in your car for 15 or 20 minutes, putting on your favorite song,
Mhm. I was
right?
just gonna
And-
say, singing or dancing, because like, dancing is getting your
yeah,
lymphatic system going, and singing to your favorite song. I have, like, 3 songs I repeat when I need to up level my energy or ground before something or after
yeah,
something, has hit me like a brick wall. I come and I turn on this lady in the corner over here, we can't speak her name, and I just jam out to, like, a 1990 song.
nice.
But you said grounding, and some people just can't. Some people live in the city. I live where
Yeah,
there's more dirt than there is cement. There's
but
more
you can
land than there is people.
you can ground on cement. That's what I'm
That's
saying,
awesome. Yeah,
right? It's like,
I hear you. Yep. That's awesome.
yeah, so like you can ground anywhere, and an earthing mat is an amazing idea. And so far we have saying no, giving other
Mhm,
people permission to say no, creating space for yourself, no matter what capacity that is, whether it's a minute or two, or 30 minutes, or an hour, or a day. Try to take a moment of creating space for yourself. And I'll tell you, like, I think a big part of it is just the act of creating that space, whether it's a
mhm,
minute or two or an hour. As long as you set that intention to give yourself the space to integrate for a moment, I think that
mhm,
has a huge impact on our spiritual self and also um our nervous system. Just to take that act of love for yourself, to be like, I'm going to take just 2 minutes before I run back into the office to just
absolutely.
ground and absorb this. And then, we do have to wrap up for today. And I know
We
that we could
do.
talk for another
I have
hour.
one
We
more
always,
thing. I have one more
yes.
thing because I do it all the time and I completely forget about it. But I read a book and I've listened to, and I can't remember who shared it. It might even been Brendan Burchard. But I have several alarms on my phone to stop and look at. It's shining brightly. It's loud at me, right? And I have a mantra or something that's positive on there for me to look and just read it and stop for a second. So if that is your day, like what if you were able to create 5 different times your day where it just stopped you for a second? Everybody has their phone with them.
Hmm.
And you stopped your brain, you read something magical that you're saying, I am enough, or this is what I'm creating, or something beautiful for yourself to reframe your mind. That is 30 seconds of your time. Maybe it's 5 times a day. So it's again creating space for that reframe, reset,
Yeah, I
rejuvenate.
love that. Oh, I love that. One of the things that I do is anytime I'm walking outside, I stop for a moment in a safe place. Don't do it in the middle of the road, but I will stop for a moment and I will just close my eyes and turn my face up to the sun and just soak that
Mhm.
in for a second. And then I just open my eyes and I keep walking. And
Yep.
sometimes it's walking by a tree and smelling a flower and
Mhm.
closing my eyes and just being very present in that moment. And so that's like a 20-second
Mhm.
practice of slowing down. And I feel like that just rolls into it. And I will say, I've read 4 novels in the last month because I'm just setting aside time.
I'm like, I'm mind blown. Like that is
Yeah,
amazing. I love
I'm
it.
setting aside time where I'm using the app on my phone that shuts down social media after a specific amount of time every day. So that keeps me from endlessly scrolling, which is just a time suck. And now that I'm scrolling less, I'm finding I have more time in my day. I have more
Mhm.
time because I'm not being distracted. So I'm doing things that matter instead of pointless things. And the other thing that I'm doing is at 8 p.m. every day, my phone shuts down every application on my phone besides my phone and my texting. And
Love it.
so my phone becomes a useless brick at 8 p.m. And I'm then either playing board games with my husband, or I'm reading a book, or I'm snuggling with my dog and taking her for a walk. So those two things is like using technology to
Mhm.
really aid you, because it
Mhm.
can be an ally as well as being a time suck. And
Mhm.
so for me, that's made a really big difference. And that's how I've read 4 novels in the past month. And it's really opened up my creativity. It's really opened up my productivity, to be honest with you. And I feel less like my hair is on fire just with these small things of slowing down. And
Absolutely. It's being
yeah,
present. It's being present.
being present. Yeah, because social media, I feel like, is the great robber for me. I feel like it takes me out of the
Absolutely.
present. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's amazing. And like you said, and it's not so amazing in so many avenues. But yeah, I hope this helps. This has been an amazing conversation. It is what we can choose into. And it is about our health span. It is about our mindset. It's about our emotional health, our mental health, our
Yes.
relationships.
Yeah.
It's how we want to do life, and you can
Yeah.
choose joy.
Yes. So we would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Which one of these tools is the most applicable for your life? Which one do you feel the most attacked by, like me, right?
Yes.
Right? Like, where do you feel attacked by this conversation? And which one of these tools is the most practical and useful for you?
Mhm.
And also, like, where do you struggle the most with slowing down? Is it family? Is
Mm.
it work? Is it fun? And so we would love to hear from you. Please follow us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. We are in all of those places. You can also watch us have this conversation on YouTube at the Divine Play Podcast, Practical Guide to Living with Joy. And we will see you in a week.
We'll see you next episode. Thank you so much for watching and being here. We'll
Yeah,
see you next
toodles.
time.